Okay, 7th graders, we are going on to section 2.5. This is your last section before your quiz. So we are going to apply what we've been learning to solving equations. So your goal is to be able to solve equations even when you have positive and negative numbers, even when you have those integers. So you approach the problems in the same way. This is where following those rules is really important. So I like to draw my line. Ask yourself what's happening to the variable. Well, -3 is being added to the variable, so we need to subtract a -3. That means you're going to subtract a -3 from this side too. Now the thing is, with subtracting a -3, what are we really doing? Well, if I just write this down for you over here, we are really adding. So you can also think of this as adding. -3 plus 3 cancels out. -5 plus 3, who wins? The negative win, and they win by 2. You see that? Yep. So check your answer. -3 plus -2, does that equal -5? Yes. Okay, your next one. So 3 is being added, so you need to subtract 3 from both sides, and equals, now this is -10, and if it helps, you can rewrite this. -10 minus 3, so I like to add the opposite. So it's -10 plus -3 equals a -13. Check your answer. -13 plus 3, does that equal -10? Well, 13's on the negative team, 3 is on the positive team, so you end up with a negative answer. Your next one, what's happening to the variable? 8's being subtracted, so you need to add. So you have 32 on the negative team and 8 on the positive team. The negative team wins, and by how much? Well, you have to subtract the 2, so you get 24. Double check your answer. -24 minus 8 equals -32. Well, when you subtract, remember I like to add the opposite. This gives me -32. Okay. Multiplying and dividing, same thing. A is being divided by 3, so you are going to multiply by a -3. I always joke that you have to make sure the number takes a suitcase with you, keeps its negative with it. You cancel those out. A equals, positive times a negative is a negative. 9 times 3 is 27. To check your answer, -27 divided by -3 equals 9. Negative divided by a negative equals a positive, so yes. The next one, x is being multiplied by 6, so you divide both sides by 6. 6 goes into 12 twice, and then you just add that 0. Negative divided by a positive is a negative. Double check your work. -120 equals 6 times -20. Does this come out? And it does. W6 is being subtracted from W, so you need to add 6 to both sides. You've got 2 on the negative team and 6 on the positive team, so that means we have 4. Check your answer. 4 minus 6 equals -2. And this equals -2, so that means we did it right. Last example here. A is being multiplied by a -5, so you divide by a -5. Remember, you divide like normal, So 5 does not go into 3, but it goes into 30 6 times. And then if it goes into 0, 0 times. So the answer is a negative 60 because the 300 was positive and the 5 was negative. You can check your answer. Negative 5 times negative 60 equals a positive 300. 5 and 6 is 30. Add the 0. It's correct. Okay, last question here. How do you apply it? So it says a shoe manufacturer made a profit of 800 million. So profit would be a positive. This amount is 200 million more than last year's profit. What was the last year's profit? So it let P represent last year's profit in millions of dollars. That's what you're looking for. That's our unknown. Okay, so it says, I like to put things in words. So this year's profit is 200 million more than last year's profit. So if I took last year's profit, so this is this year's profit, is 200 million more than last year's. Oh, sorry. What was last year's? This year's profit is right here. I misspoke. And then last year's profit, we don't know. So how would you get P by itself? Well, 200 million is being added to P, so you subtract 200 million. Lots of zeros to right there. And solve, and we would get 600 million. And that is money equals last year's profit. So setting up an equation is part of the battle, and when I ask you to set up an equation, just make sure you have your variable there is your unknown, and then an equal sign is what completes an equation.